What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining us here at Offside and Out of Bounds. We're going to talk about the NFL Super Bowl coming up here on Sunday. I'm Adam.
I'm Junior. Let's go!
What's going on, Junior? Long time no see, my man.
Yeah, it's been about 20 hours? Less than 20 hours?
Yes. Check out our NBA trade deadline video that we posted yesterday. Like and comment and subscribe to this video and our channel. Junior, we're going to talk about the Super Bowl here. A couple of teams you probably wouldn't have expected to see in this Super Bowl, but I think it's going to be actually quite interesting.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they both took a bit of a different path to get here, even in the regular season as well. Great story with Cincinnati and Joe Burrow and everything that's gone on with that and his recovery and his absolute explosion onto the scene. Matty Stafford's first year in LA did not disappoint at all. It's the Super Bowl. We got a great halftime show set up and everything looks like it's going to be a game.
That halftime show is set for something in the stars for sure. I think it's going to be maybe the best. And you're in LA, right? You're in LA. You got to have the LA legends there, and you got those in Snoop, Dre, and so on. Okay, let's take a look. Let's take a look at the probably the most important matchup of the game. Let's talk about the QBs.
Yeah,
we got Stafford. We got Burrow. Break it down for us.
Yeah, so these are just the stats that's straight from the playoffs. So 3 games. Stafford's throwing in about 70%, a little bit over 71%. You got Burrow at 75. Yardage is the same, very similar. Obviously, Stafford's got a few more TDs, and they're both running about 2 interceptions each. Stafford's a little bit banged up coming into this game, where Burrow looks to be really locked in and focused. They have, this is it. I mean, they're going to put everything on the line here. If Stafford's injured or not, he's going to be playing, and there's going to be no two ways about it.
Yeah, this has the potential to have a higher scoring, hopefully Super Bowl. It's a bit more of an offensive team. Let's take a look at the running backs and see how they break down. I'm going to look at this here. So we got Akers, we got Mixon, similar carries, Mixon with a little bit more yards. He's got a TD and no fumbles. And then you got Akers with 2 fumbles, no TDs in these 3 playoff games that they played coming up to this point. What do you think? Who do you think has the edge here? In the running game.
A lot of the sharps out there, they've got their YouTube shows, they've got their call-in shows that are on the television, and they're all talking about how, the LA Rams are just going to run the ball straight down Cincinnati's throat, and there's going to be nothing they can do about it, and take the Rams on the money line.
Yeah,
I don't think it's going to break down like that. As you can see from the numbers, Akers hasn't been that effective. I mean, obviously Mixon hasn't been that effective either. These are 2 pretty ineffective running games. When you've got Sony Michel, who's basically the secondary back to the feature in Akers, he's only coming in 3rd down short, 3rd down and 5, where they're going to roll play action and maybe dump it off to him, or if they're in the red zone and a yard and a half out, he might run it in. And then Perrine, it's on the Cincinnati side, it's a very similar story. These are 2 teams that are going to be throwing the ball. I don't know if that's going to amount to a lot of points or getting the total over. We're going to get into that in a little bit.
Yeah.
But to think that out of nowhere, if you look at the Rams' path, the 3 games that they played, Akers didn't get over 60 yards in a single game. So against San Fran, he was 13 for 48 yards. Against Tampa Bay, he was 24 for 48 yards. And then he had 17 carries for 55 yards against Arizona in a game that they won by 20 plus points. So it's really up to that to think that he's all of a sudden going to come out with a 100-yard plus game.
It's not realistic, right?
No, so I can't see that happening. And at least Mixon, I mean, against KC, he had about 21 carries for 88 yards, so he was a little bit more effective against the pass. Sorry, the run defense at KC, but the run defense isn't that good. But I mean, they do have the numbers to show where they think it's going to go, because on 1st and 2nd down, Cincinnati has literally one of the worst rush defenses in the league. But they've had 2 weeks to prepare for it.
That's true.
So we'll get into the defense after. But anyway, I think in terms of an edge, I'm going to take a guy who's been pounding the rock all year long, and that's Joe Mixon. He has been pounding the rock all year long. So I got to go with the guy who's got the legs, and who's been doing it longer, because Akers did have an injury this year, so he came back towards the end of the season, and hasn't been effective for the 3 games in the postseason. So
I'm always a big fan also of the underdog, right? I mean, these guys are not supposed to be here. They didn't expect it to be here. You're going to see some of these guys shine, I think, on the Bengals. That this is going to be a breakout game, I think, for them. So let's talk a little bit more about the offense of Joe Burrow and company, against the Rams defense. Again, these teams are probably more on the offensive side, but you do have Von Miller on the other side there, and he can create some situations. What do you think about these as they match up offensive defensively?
Now, the Rams defense is not like San Fran scary. I mean, if you're trying to run the ball against them. Aaron Donald is an absolute beast and an absolute problem. Von Miller is a Super Bowl MVP from the past when he was in Denver. Jalen Ramsey, arguably probably the top corner in football right now. So yeah, they've got a pretty formidable defense. But when I look at the offense of Cincinnati, and whether one guy's on or not, Chase has been in some games where, he had 5-6 catches and maybe 50-60 yards, but he'll have a TD. And if he's below 70, 80 yards, you got T. Higgins catching 7 balls for 119.
Yeah.
Behind him, you got Tyler Boyd. Obviously, the third check down for Burrow, probably not going to get a lot of balls. And then you've got Uzoma, who's, I think, a wild card in this matchup with big body, can get into the middle, kind of like a Travis Kelce type. And then Joe Mixon is not afraid to get on the flat and take that 2-3 yard dump down from Burrow and get 10-15 yards after the catch. So their defense on the LA side has to be very cognizant of who they're going to double team. Because if you go after Chase, you're going to leave one of these guys in Boyd, who is very speedy, or Higgins, who sniffs that open field, or you could get a 15-20 yard check down to Zoma. So, I mean, you got to pick your poison with them. So, I'm sure they're planned up. McVay's a good coach. He's got everyone kind of their game plan set and ready to go for Sunday. But you got to be cognizant of that. This isn't going to be a walk in the park for LA. They're not just going to shut them down. I mean, you're coming off a game against Tampa where it was Brady's last game, and he didn't look that great. The passes weren't snapping. They weren't fresh. And then Jimmy G is not a guy who's going to torch you for 400 yards. And they didn't run the ball that effective either, because Eli Mitchell is just not that great of a back. So, I mean, to say that the Rams have just defensively beat up on everybody, they haven't really faced teams that were ready to win, basically, if that makes sense.
No, that's a good point.
So obviously the path's a bit different, but the matchup here is, can they get pressure on Burrow? The one thing you'll notice about Burrow is he makes his decisions in a split second, and he goes with it.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that line leaks so much, it's easy to get the pressure on him, and he also does get sacked a lot. So if you're looking for prop bets, take Von Miller and Aaron Donald both to get a sack, because the likelihood is it's going to happen. But if you're not getting that pressure, it's going to be tough to knock him off that pedestal. And if he's got time to find the right guy, then he can torch you.
Yeah, I agree. You're definitely gonna have to put pressure on Joe Burrow to make even quicker decisions with the football, and Von Miller's the guy to do that for sure. Let's go the other way now, and let's talk about Stafford and what he's going to be able to do against the Cincinnati defense, and is he going to be effective in this football game?
Yeah. So the last couple of games with Stafford, there's been some passes that I just kind of questioned. Like, you all right? Like, your shoulder messed up? Are you back? Like, that just did not look good. The fact that things don't get too bad is that he's got a guy like Cup, a guy like OBJ, a guy like Ben Jefferson, a guy like Akers when he gets to the slot to help out. They had a really their tight end in Higbee I loved. Unfortunately, I don't think he's playing in this game. They're going to get Blanton in there. Don't think Blanton brings the same kind of effectiveness that Higbee does. But again, Stafford's got a lot of weapons to play with, but everyone's pretty much written this Cincinnati defense off, and I think that's a huge mistake because that's bulletin board material for these guys. You're talking 3 straight playoff games where they've caused a total of 6 interceptions and had 8, 9 sacks. Those are not small numbers. Like you've literally caused turnovers every game you've played. They've been disruptive. They've gotten pressure. We need to tackle for the loss. I think they're sitting at about 12, 13 tackles for a loss. They broke up about 19, 20 passes. So these guys are active hands. Eli Apple, another great corner. He's probably going to get the OBJ assignment. So these are ex teammates who I'm sure they're gonna have some fun with that. That's a good matchup to watch if you're looking for a good matchup.
Yeah.
But I don't think you can write off the Cincinnati defense and just assume that they're going to roll over. These guys are going to come after him. They are going to go after the quarterback, and they've got some big guys out there. So they've got some big dudes that can strip sack you, punch that ball out, And the one thing about Stafford is if he starts getting knocked on his butt, and obviously I'm a Detroit Lions fan, so I've seen him on his back a lot in his career. Absolutely amazing quarterback, but he gets sacked a lot. And the more he gets sacked and the more he gets pressured, the more he gets frustrated.
Gets a little shook, yeah.
And the more opportunity he's going to take to throw an interception. And he has thrown a couple untimely ones. And to that same point, the Rams have turned the ball over quite a bit. I think there was one game they had about 5 turnovers. I think that was the Tampa Bay game. So, I mean, if their offense is going to be effective and take that defense, they need to have a very clean game, turnover-free ball, and just hope that everything else aligns for them.
Okay.
So, I mean, if I'm going to give a nod here, obviously with the player of the year in Cooper Kupp and OBJ, the reclamation project that he's become, you got to give a bit of the tick to the LA Rams. So, I mean, you're talking about 2 ticks, 1 tick to Cincinnati offense, 1 tick to the Rams offense. So that tells me it could be a pretty big point total at the end of the game.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so let's take a look here, a bit of the breakdown. We're looking at the points against. This is a combination of the 3 playoff games, so 55 and 59. Sacks, relatively similar. Interceptions, you see Burrow's got a few more. You got the tackles for loss, relatively the same. And passes deflected, 13 against 10. So, you're seeing that defense that we talked about. Any comments kind of on some of these numbers here?
Yeah, so I mean, if you're looking at these numbers for the first time and you see these, you're going to consider that they're both good defenses and they're pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, points against, negligible. Sacks, negligible. Interceptions, negligible. Tackles for a loss, negligible. Passes deflected, negligible. They're all pretty close.
Yeah.
It seems like they get the same amount of pressure that the other does. So I think everyone's just writing off Cincinnati a bit too much here, and I think that these guys deserve a little more respect than they're getting.
Okay. Let's take a look at the kickers here on the field. So we got Gay versus Money Mac. Gay 7 for 9 field goals, and then points after touchdown 9 for 9. And you got Money Mac. He's been perfect.
Yeah.
100% all the way.
Yeah, this kid's special. I don't know if you've ever seen a clip of him in college where he kicked the football and took the Gatorade lid off.
Oh, no way.
That was him. Anyway,
that's a lot of power.
Yeah, this kid's got he's got ice in his veins. I mean, a couple of game winners in the playoffs already. One from 52, another one in OT. Like this kid's just chucking the ball. Gay's missed a couple of chip shots there, so sometimes he might have that ability to get rattled. But when you're talking about the first half of a game that generally historically in the Super Bowl starts slow, having a good kicker is ever more important because you want to put points on the board. I could see this at 10-7 and a half. And there could be a missed field goal in the first half. I don't know. There could be. There might be a prop out there for it. I don't know.
It might be one of those opportunities too, where you're like trying to get that score from 50 yards out, and you just got that leg to make it happen for the win. You just never know with these games, right?
Yeah, and since he's got the leg there, Gay doesn't have the leg that McPherson does. So, Money Mac's a good side to bet on for overs.
Awesome. Let's take a look at the coaching matchup here. We got McVay, who's going to be facing his protege in Taylor. Both seeking Super Bowl titles here. It's going to be great.
Out there, right?
Yeah.
Zach's going to know McVay's tactics and the little trick plays that he likes to throw out there. But McVay's a very inventive coach. The only thing that would concern me about them is if the Rams go up, with a sizable lead, let's say like a 20-10 at halftime, he generally will start getting a little more relaxed, which allows teams to come back. And Cincinnati is a team that can come back very quickly and go ahead of you very quickly. So, but you know what? These are both pros. These are both, in terms of Taylor, potentially can going forward be, perennial coach of the year with the team that he's put together. Absolutely. And McVay's always there too for coach of the year. So these guys are two very, very well respected coaches. If I'm going to take an edge here, I'd probably say McVay. He's just been there a bit longer, but it's tough to say that because Taylor's been on the sideline with him. So it's like, they both kind of have the same amount of experience when it comes to this kind of football. But sometimes you gotta go with that young blood. They might be a little bit more creative than the old head, right?
If you look at McVay's assistants over the last few years as well, he's had 4 go into the NFL or NCAA in coaching. So, he's got something there, and he's, I'd probably give him the edge on this one as well. Ultimately, who do we think is going to win? I'm going to start off with you here and pump up your number here. So this is your pick for the Super Bowl winner.
So, yeah, I'm taking Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase to put up a big 34 spot, and the Rams to be close behind at 30. So for me, I'm going to take the Bengals money line. I'm going to take them on the spread, and I'm going to hit that over. I also might still take Bengals money line and hit the under as well, just in case it's a bit of a stinker.
Okay. Yeah, we want to see an exciting game. We want to see them run up the score a little bit. I'm right there with you. I'm taking Cincinnati Bengals for the win. Joe Burrow, I think I like the underdog. I like Burrow. I want to see him smoking that cigar at the end of this. So I have a very similar score to you, 33-27. And yeah, that's what I want to see. I want to see a high scoring game. I really wanted to, I don't mind if it starts off a little bit slower, but come that second half, I really want to see it pumped up quite a bit.
Yeah. So a couple of tips just from betting the Super Bowl. If you like in-game, wait until that first drive starts. That first drive could take anywhere from 4 to 5 minutes, depending if they get the first downs to move. Then go look at the adjusted line total for the over-under. If you like playing the overs or you like playing the unders, you're going to get a better number there. And especially if you're going to expect anywhere from 20 to 30 points in the second half, or even 15, 17 points in the second half, you might be able to get a really strong number and just kill it.
Yeah, awesome. So if the Bengals win or if the LA wins, let's talk about our MVP picks here. So we're both going with Joe Burrow. Obviously he's got to be on for these guys to win, but who did you pick here on the Rams?
I went kind of off the board. Everyone's been talking about how they're going to run the ball and they're going to do this and they're going to do that. I think that the most impactful player on that Rams sideline is going to be OBJ, because I think Cooper Kupp is going to get double team, triple team, which is going to allow him a lot of open field, a lot of downfield looks. And, I would like him for, multiple touchdowns in this game. So that's who I'm going with. I
think that's a great pick. I think that's a great pick. Nothing would boost his ego even more than it already is with putting up 2 touchdowns in the Super Bowl and winning a ring, right? I'm taking Von Miller, kind of just going back to our point about defense. If you're gonna beat Burrow, I think he's going to be I think he's catching his stride and is going to be in this game. And I think if you're going to beat him, it's got to be Von Miller. A couple of sacks, maybe one leading to a fumble, ultimately leading to a touchdown or something like that. I think he's going to be all over the place. This is the game that he's built for. So give me Von Miller for the MVP if the Rams pull it out.
All right.
Awesome. Did you want to touch on any prop bets or any of these, coin flips or any of that stuff?
Yeah. Do
we wrap it here?
If you're betting on the coin flip and you're putting juice on it, just don't. Do yourself a favor. There's so many better things out there to go after. Like, one to look at is will the first kickoff of the game result in a touchback? I'd say no, because 9 times out of 10, I think the last 10 years that hasn't resulted in a touchback, because these are all fresh balls. No one's been able to touch them because the NFL holds those under security. So they try and really hoof them, but they don't go that far. So that's something to look at. Look at, again, pick a guy that on a team that you like, that you think is going to be effective, and look at his numbers and get the overs on those or unders. If you think someone, if you're a Rams fan and you want Cincy to lose, then you might go unders on all Burrow stats and hope that he throws picks and, doesn't throw touchdown passes. So have fun with it. Don't spend more than you can. It's always the golden rule. And if you win, take it out. Don't leave it in there and play around with it. Always take your money out. But yeah, have fun with it. I'm looking forward to it. I think Patty McSizzlelochs, our friend from overseas, is going to be dropping a video for you guys tomorrow, a bit more in depth.
Check that out
on those prop picks.
He's got the bets. He's got the bets. Okay, real quick, just to recap here. This is the Super Bowl halftime lineup. So you have Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, recent new CEO of Death Row Records. Look at that turn of events. Eminem, Kendrick Lamar, and Mary J. Blige. I mean, this is hip hop royalty. I expect this to be the best show that we've ever seen. Just because it's personally all the music I would have listened to, coming up. So,
what do you think the first song is going to be?
I think if you're gonna light the fire, it's got to be still DRE, because you had Eminem, Dr. Dre, and Snoop all in that video. Wouldn't be surprised if you see a 6'4" Impala driving around somewhere, or one of those baby boy bicycles or tricycles or something of that type of nature. So
a little float to Debo there, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. Awesome. Well, look, everybody, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. Check out Patty McSizzlelochs tomorrow for a more in-depth idea of how to look at some of those prop bets. We covered off the Super Bowl preview here for you. And that's it for all of us here at Offside and Out of Bounds. I'm Adam.
I'm Junior. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and smash it in the comments. But we're
smash it. See you real soon.